There we go.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Awesome.
First, I must apologize.
No.
We're very
Welcome.
good. Welcome.
Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I usually am much calmer than I am now because 45 minutes of trying to get this together is giving me great grief. But I'm very pleased to join you guys tonight. And I'm probably one of the younger people in terms of the spiritual world that you guys are dealing with. But I'd like to give you my insights and what I've done in the past and what has worked and where I am today. Okay. By the way, I'm an old guy, if you haven't noticed. The gray beard has come for a very serious reason. I'm well into my 60s. I have two very grown age kids and one grandchild, which is really cool. So that's that. So I won't get into that. I've been a real estate appraiser and a tax assessor for probably going on 45 years. And that basically is an extension of where my life was in a really cool place. So to start with, I don't tell very many people, but I'm very proud of the fact that I am one of the original human growth hormone kids back in the 1950s. In 1950s, about 1953 or 54, my parents started to see that I was not growing normally and ended up in an endocrinologist office in New York City on Park Avenue, and ended up for about 13 years going to an endocrinologist under HGH care. I grew 18 inches. So I'm actually 5'1", so that tells you how short I would have been. And that tells me what, while my life would have been very full, did not give me the opportunities that a full-grown man basically has. And so I've been very grateful in that sense. And I've always looked at my life in a grateful sense of balance. And I've always attempted to help people who are less fortunate or just basically could need a hand for whatever the case is. So in that sense, I've been very, very lucky. It's allowed me to do a lot of things that I've never expected to do. I had the pleasure of learning how to shoot skeet and trap when I was growing up as a trap boy. That's the guy that pulls the buttons and lets the birds go out. And so I became very successful in the trap and skeet range, in the trap and skeet world. I've tried out for the Olympic team back in the heydays of the 1970s. So I shot the national championships and had a really good time, world championships, and I had a really good time doing it. But God always gave me the opportunity to show that I could do more, okay? So the next step was probably that I started working in a full-time job. I had 2 years of architectural technology, hated being an architectural major, sitting on a drafting board. So I needed to find someplace to go where I could speak to people and learn about their lives and see what their lives are about, help them if I could, and that kind of thing. So about 1973, I ended up in an appraisal office as the first employee ever in that place. Now, you probably won't see this, but 1975, this has been in my wallet. It is the prayer to St. Francis. Has been in my wallet since 1975. I don't look at it all the time, but I mentally go through it and I just think about it, and it gives me a really comfortable place to live in. That's always been my hallmark. Is that's the way I've lived my life. A couple years ago, I ended up going into the silver system, which is a super program, by the way. If you ever get the chance, it's a two-day course on weekends. They usually have them throughout the United States. Very worthwhile for you to take in some time. So you should have you'll learn a lot with that. And it matches in with what we're doing now with HoOponopono. So that's kind of cool. What it did teach me was that there was outward manifestations available to me as a person and as someone who could give it back to the world. And so that kind of left-handedly brought me into the reason I'm here tonight, which is the check I created for my own purposes to work with the program. And what I decided somewhere along the line, I don't remember where I learned it, but someone gave it to me through Silver or someplace else, is to create a check take it, write it out from the universe and sign it from the universe, make it out to yourself, and either put it in your wallet or put it close to you where you can do a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there and just go on to the 4 parts of HoOponopono. So that's what I've been doing all along, basically in the last 3 or 4 months, and it's worked pretty well for me. About 2 weeks after I started doing it intently, I'm a semi-retired guy, so I can get away with a lot more than usual. So I sit at the corner of the couch and watch cowboy and Indian TV shows and stuff like that because I'm a grumpy old guy. And so I'll sit there and I'll place the check between my hands, and I'll practice the four steps. Now, what I did find out is 2 things over time. The first thing is that you have to come out of state that you're in physically in the world. You have to take a step back, take your breath, and think of and focus on that check sitting between your hands. And the other thing is, when you say the 4 sentences, you have to say it with meaning, and you have to attach it to a gratitude situation so that the energy of the universe, spirit, understands that it's coming from the right place. So anyhow, I started doing that, and I'm almost basically semi-retired from the appraisal practice. I ended up getting an $8,000 appraisal job out of it, okay? Which is kind of cool. I didn't really want it. I didn't end up getting it, which is okay, because it worked out for the better. Spirit said it was not the right thing to do. What ended up happening was it was a reappraisal of somebody else's work, and it was cheaper and easier for the client to use the other appraiser, which is fine with me. And so, but it was sitting there on my desk. I got the approvals and went through with a lot of research, and it turned around. And mentally, I said to them it was proper for them to take it someplace else. So in that sense, it was the right place for me. It was the right thing for me, and it was also the right thing for the universe to take care of. So after that, I guess the last 2 weeks or so, I've been getting phone calls for appraisal work and jobs that I never expected. It was not something I was looking for, but it replaced that $8,000 fee that I gave up because it was the right thing to do. Okay. So that's that. Secondly, I'm in the middle of starting another practice outside of the appraisal practice because I've written 14 million times the subject property is located on the corner of so and so and so, that I didn't want to do it anymore. So I ended up going into another practice. I'm starting a practice that saves property owners on their electric bill, on their gas bills, on their water and sewer, and on their waste management costs. And it's very important now because of COVID and because the economy is falling apart that an individual business owner has the opportunity to save a couple of bucks. Okay. So anyhow, so to weave the whole thing together, I'm going to leave it at that because I'm very late and I apologize for that. As an appraiser and as an assessor, I was also an assessor for 20-something years in 3 towns. I've always treated the other person, whether it be a taxpayer or a client, in the cases of the businessman with the new business, I've always attempted to give them their best position in life. If I could give them a little bit more in the assessor, I would do it, or I would do it the following year as something that made them feel like they came ahead rather than behind. And the other thing is that as part of the whole conversation, I also talk to people as they drive by me, and I appreciate them. I will apologize if I pull in front of them, which is kind of funny because my wife is sitting next to me and I will turn around and say, I'm sorry. Or if they let me in, I will roll down the window, even in the middle of the winter time, and throw my hand up to say thank you. And then roll up the window again, and she gets cold and freezes, smacks me around a couple of times, and life goes on. So in all the cases, it all goes back to that gratitude thing, I believe. It all goes back to the fact that Spirit has always been very, very positive in giving to the people around me and to myself. And I think that's about it. Let's see, one more thing. Oh, that's it. Yeah. I hope it was helpful. I would love to join you guys again.
I thought it was great. I love how you talk about the gratitude, Mike, because I feel like that's big. Yeah, to have gratitude for everything we do get. You know, and then the other one I know we just talked about before, but before I didn't know you kind of gave up that first client, and then it paid for itself later on. Yeah. It always goes to show when we do the right thing and we have the right intentions, we get the right results from it.
Surely.
Does anyone have any questions for Mike? Well, I think
would like
Kevin
to go
does.
back again.
Mike, was that an $8,000 check you had between your hands?
No, it wasn't. It was actually a contract to do the job. My hand is 10,000.
Your hand,
10,000 a month.
10,000.
And what I also do is this, where on top of the check, use one of your own checks, on top of the check, where it says your name and address, I white that out and I say universe, spirit, or whatever the case is. I'm trying to bring it with me. I say universe or spirit or whatever your feeling is, and I sign it as his name also. So therefore, what we've done is we've connected with that future situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
as I said, it was only 2 weeks after I started doing it again. What ended up happening was, like, I talked to Peter, and Peter brought it out that I had totally forgot about it. And so what ended up happening was Peter reminded me of it. I reminded Peter that that's what had happened in the past, and I used it, and that's when it happened.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you for. So how long have you been doing Ho'oponopono?
I actually learned it by pure. I'm going to sneak out of the screen. I actually learned it by pure mistake. I have a very old friend who is a chiropractor, and his secretary was using it and started teaching me about it. I'm not classically trained in it. I learned by pure mistake, to be quite frank with you. And as silly as it sounds, we were talking about my driving and thanking people. Excuse me. What was actually happening was I was using it wrong. I was offering the prayers to people around me and wishing them well, okay, which is kind of cool because it still worked for me, and it passed on the energy for me as well. But somewhere along the line, I have a spiritual coach that I've been using for about 5 years now, and we were talking about it. And she said, "You're doing it wrong." And I said, "No," and what would happen is I would go into a restaurant, and I would divide the restaurant or church. I would divide it into 4 places, and I would say the first word here, and the first sentence here, and then the second sentence here, and then the third and fourth, and I would rotate, and I would do the first one here, and to give back to the world, to give back to the people that needed it most.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening, she said, no, you're doing it wrong. It's about clearing you to clear them. And I said, okay. So I started thinking in terms of that. That's when the check came about, basically, as a part to that, and it worked fine. So I had done it totally wrong, even though I was happy with the results, because I'm driving down Route 80 at 90 miles an hour, and there's 40 people coming at me, and I was throwing those prayers at them, I should say, and I was happy as a lark because I felt that somewhere in that group of people needed my touch, and I was giving them my touch. Okay?
Oh, very good. Very good.
Okay, any other questions? May I join you guys sometime again?
This group is not usually this quiet. No one has any
Oh my
questions?
God. So
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of processing. Now, we'd love to have you. You know, we meet every Monday at 6:30.
Cool.
You know, it's one where we all help each other grow.
Sure.
All right.
I want to say I think everyone here is a practitioner, whether it be in hypnosis, NLP, Ho'oponopono, bodywork. So we all help each other.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Was I loud enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I tend to be very bodacious. I'm Italian, as you can tell. Even though it doesn't look like it, I'm Italian.
I like the idea of writing out the check. I'm going to do that.
Yes, it works beautifully.
Yeah.
And again, 5 minutes at a time, even if you put it in the bathroom while in between your washing your face. Just 2 minutes of it this way, and it's a wonderful thing. Do it a couple of times in a couple of different places. The point is to place your mind on that for that few seconds, and
Yeah.
so you're connected to it.
Sounds good. I like
Good.
that.
I think
So-
we'll all be writing checks tonight.
Okay.
If you want, you can make them out to Peter Gagliardo.
Oh, you beat me to
Send them right to me. I figured that's where you were going, so.
You
I
beat
knew
me
that
to
was
it.
coming. I seriously knew that was coming. I was gonna
No.
help you send it to me.
So question, Mike.
Sure.
So on the check, where it would normally have your name, you white it out, or do you just kind of cross it out?
No, you white it out.
Wow.
You want to clean, and if you want, you can even photocopy it, so it's a clean check, and try that. Okay, but it has to be written out from the universe or from spirit, wherever, or from whatever, from source. And so that's the beginning point. You write out the amount, the sum of $10,000 per month on the description line, and then on the bottom you'll sign it from the universe.
And then do you put anything like in the memo spot, or do you leave that blank?
You can say for work completed or for future work or whatever. You gotta play with it. I don't know the
But-
answer to that. I never got that far.
Just for an FYI, I posted a gratitude check on our Facebook group that I had. It's a gratitude bank of the universe. I have it in one of my workshops. So if anybody just, you can print it out. It's already signed the universe, and everything's right there. Just if anybody's interested and they don't want to use their own checks, you can just print it out. It does the same thing.
I
So
was that's why I had my hand up, because from my dowsing group, we have it, and it's, we do it on the new moon. And in the description is what you want to manifest. And you put your name in, obviously. You don't put the date in,
Right.
paid in full for the dollar amount. But you're saying to put an actual dollar amount in there, huh?
Well, again, if you want a $10,000 a month client base, that becomes your goal. Now, after you, at some point, 2, 3, 4 months down the road, when you're doing 10,000 a month, then you're going to bump it up to 20,000. Okay.
Have you
So-
ever used it for anything else with manifestation, Mike?
I'm sure you could. I'm a young guy in this. I'm only doing this for about 5 years. I end up going to a place called Thought in Motion out of Montclair, New Jersey, and they're very spiritual involved. And what had happened was my sister passed away about 7 years ago, and I was talking about wanting to meet and carry on a conversation with her after she had passed, and that went through one of my doctors to, you should go out there, and I ended up going out there, and I ended up getting hooked up with them. And then one of the coaches that I was with working with them I ended up with her, and that's where I'm at now. So I'm really a youngster in this. I'm really still a toddler. I just know that the couple of things that I've done has worked. I'm always looking for other ideas. I will tell you this, silver, I had taken silver probably about 6 years ago. I found silver to be really phenomenal. Jose Silver, you can see some of their techniques on YouTube.
Mike, I have the CD set or something like that that I have yet to get to. We'll just say I've had it for several years.
They're really
So-
pretty cool.
Well, Kevin and I have a friend, and Chris A. and I have a friend that was trained with Silva, right, Kevin?
Okay.
Yeah, because Silva mind control back in the 70s.
Yes.
None of that.
A lot of people in Boston got trained that way. So, yeah, we have a friend, and I've actually been trained in some of the meditations and stuff, and it really is good stuff. It's very similar. There's hypnosis in it. There's similar things to NLP and stuff like that. So it is really cool stuff.
I have also used NLP. So, as a sideline, as I was talking about shooting ski, I had about 25 years later, my brother and I were playing pool in a league, and we end up going to national championships. And I was looking for a really good NLP practitioner, and ended up with a hypnosis session instead, which worked out beautifully, and it worked fine. So I'm aware of both of them. I like both concepts. At some point, I might even become a practitioner.
Well, there's a really great teacher online right here. She's on the water.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Finder. She's really an amazing instructor if you want to learn hypnosis.
Oh, cool.
Oh my, right here.
I should have known.
She's the best.
Okay. I thank you for your time.
But thank you very much for being here and giving us your story. Really appreciate it. And you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you.
I
Thank you very much.
just remembered, you just helped me remember a story I forgot all about. When I was first starting to do energy work, people would tell me, well, you start out by asking for a place to park in front of a specific place.
Right.
I said, okay. So I drove down to Lexington Center at noontime, which was you'd never get a place to park. And I'm very calmly saying in the car all the way down, okay, I need a place to park right outside Bank Boston. I go down Mass Ave. I start to make the left-hand turn where there were 3 parking spaces right along the side there. 3 cars all pulled out at the exact same time. I had the entire line to pick from.
How cool.
So
I-
that did it. That
I will-
made
I
me
will-
able to.
I would say a very, very quick, very funny story. When I was working as a tax assessor, I had a young lady that was working in an adjacent office that was being trained by her boss, who hated me, and she was her mouthpiece for hating me. Okay, so she ended up, she would say my name in derision. Instead of saying "Good morning, Michael," she would say "Jager," in a really bad way. And so on a Sunday night, I finally got pissed off about the whole thing. On a Sunday night, I went into state at 12 o'clock. I said to Spirit, I want a conversation with her when her alternate, or when her ego is free and open to me, and I would like to carry on a conversation with her. So I guess it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm awakened. I go into state again. I have this long conversation with her. Now she's 22 years old. I'm well into my 50s probably. So I said, I'm old enough to be a grandfather, and I went on. I deserve respect. I was doing this before you were even born, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I walk in on Monday morning, and I swear to God, this is how it went. I walked in on Monday morning. She said, "Good morning, Mr. Jager. How are you?" Now we're the best of friends. So it really does work.
Yeah,
It really does work. So it's kind of neat. So
yeah.
I must go buy dinner for my wife and I, because I'm running late. I figured I was only going to be 15 minutes or 20 minutes before 7 o'clock. So I'm going to hit some headstorms when I get home.
All right.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in, Mike.
Michael.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Talk to you soon.